Hi there, welcome back to the Kent Morning Show live here on KMTV.
Yeah, good to still have you with us. Like many across Kent and the country, you might be getting ready for school a little differently than usual today. Of course, it is World Book Day. Thousands of children will be dressing up as their favourite superhero, adventurer or cartoon character, all in aid of getting children more excited about reading.
And here he is, usually talking about the films going out about in cinemas. We'll probably talk to you a little bit about that, some of which have been turned into books, but you're also an author as well. It's World Book Day, so...
I was too modest to bring in my book, which has been featured very prominently on Kent Tonight. But I have to say, one of my daughters said, she said, but you write books, so why didn't you just come as yourself? Yeah. So they were going into school today in their Wally, Why Wally costume, or maybe something from the Witches, Witches of Eastwick, the Wizard of Oz, I mean. And that's what I would have come as, but maybe just coming as James Bond. I suppose actually I have embodied. Yeah.
So this is Chris Deasy here. I never actually properly introduced you to the Kent Morning Show. So Chris Deasy's our film expert. You had the Film Club Thursdays play, but you're here this morning. So yeah, Chris, you do look like a certain James Bond actor, don't you?
It has been rumoured that I look like fellow Welsh James Bond, Timothy Dalton.
So there we go. We'll say that's who you're dressed as today. You've got the shirt on.
Yeah.
There we go. So okay, Chris, favourite book?
Yeah, you brought all
well, this is what I did.
Collection with us.
Yeah, because I thought that as it's World Book Day, and obviously I talk about film, these are all books which I have read over the years, don't quiz me on them, including a few actually that have come up on Kent Tonight. So, I mean, there's a few Brian De Palma, The Hours. This was a spectacular, we've just had the Oscars. Yeah. This was a sort of a rewriting of a Virginia Woolf book. And The Silence of the Lambs, of course, and Red Dragon. So these are the source. A few of those, I love those sort of 90s thrillers, Sleeping with the Enemy. So often I'll watch the film and then go back to source. I'm reading Presumed Innocent at the moment, which is a great sort of Harrison Ford legal drama from 1990.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because as a film expert, there are so many films that are based on books or vice versa. With myself, there's been a few books. I think there was a few sort of teen ones growing up. The Fault in Our Stars, the John Green book, that had come out and the book was really popular. So I sort of thought, right, I'm not going to watch the film until I've read the book first. I think I did the same with the Hunger Games journey, just because usually you kind of find it's the other way around because the films are so popular, then you turn to the book afterwards. So there are sort of benefits of doing either or, isn't there?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because back in 2000, this is John Irving's The Cider House Rules, and it took me so long to read, as you can imagine, it's 700 plus pages, that I started reading it before the film came out in the cinema. Okay. I was halfway through and it was showing, and the question was, well, I thought, I can't wait, because the film and it ended up winning Oscars for screenplay and also for Michael Caine, Best Supporting Actor. So I was watching the film and it sort of got to the point when I thought, right, this is the point at which I got up to, in my reading. So I can't disassociate the reading of the book and the watching of the film. I wouldn't normally recommend that to anyone, I'll be honest with you. That was just, unfortunately, my reading was too slow or the film came out earlier than I expected. But it's never the same. I never read a book and think, oh, I know what happens. Because, I mean, I read Single White Female, and they change some of the characters or conflate some of the characters. And some of the people who do some of the nasty deeds that they do are not always the same ones. And, of course, you see how it's been distilled into a film. So, actually, it's a real art. And it came up with Conclave, which won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. Apparently, I mean, I haven't read it, but it's a very unwieldy book, not necessarily cinematic, a brilliant book, but it's been effortlessly translated into the screen. So it's there have been some films, and you think of like the Da Vinci Code. If I'm honest, it feels a case of right, chapter 1, let's film that. Chapter 2, let's film that. And I think it feels far more contrived. And I remember enjoying the book, but finding the film just to be a very literal interpretation. Some of these are very cinematic, and I think that they go their own way.
Yeah, I think. You've been reading books for a long time. You've got a lot of books that you've read. Children, though, I know we hear a lot of the time, though, struggling to read these days. Maybe, there's so much content online, TV, playing games. What do you think is the importance of actually learning to read at a young age at primary school?
it's going to help you in later life. And I think the key thing is things like, well, obviously, your diction, your grammar, your ability to spell. And I think that, I mean, when I was young, I remember my mum always saying, you should read for pleasure. And I never knew what that meant, because it almost felt like saying, well, you know, if you're in school and you're reading Macbeth, I remember doing Shakespeare when I was quite young, and I was a bit put off because I was intimidated by the words. But then it was quite normalised. You know, later on, and you suddenly realise that these are great works of literature. You don't have to. You can read it on the go, because obviously, if you're going on a holiday, you're not going to take all of these books with you. So you've got everything on one device. So I'm a big believer in using new forms of technology in the same way that we stream films. I mean, I prefer going to the cinema, but actually, there's a whatever form you use, if you're reading or listening, it's going to help you navigate your path through life. And I think that's what it's important for children to do. So when my children are going in their Why Wally t-shirt, of course it looks very spectacular. They may or may not have read the books accompanying them, but it's really saying to the world, a book is a positive thing, and don't forsake it because it's easy just to go on your remote control and watch something on a streaming service.
Now, today is World Book Day. We'll see a lot of children dressed up in fancy dress. I know we got into work at about 6 a.m. this morning, so we probably haven't seen any children about. Did you see anyone dressed up this morning on the way in this morning?
I didn't, but on social media, it was all over. So people were saying, you know, this is what my child is going to be wearing today. I mean, Harry Potter, I think, is the really obvious one.
I think everyone does that. Okay, so what is the important? I mean, how do you think dressing up today could actually help be a gateway to get into the world of books? Because there's so many.
And you've answered the question, because anybody watching this might see all these books piled up and think, well, where do you start? You have to have your own connection, your own way through. And often it can be fantasy. And I think for children, Wicked, which of course did, well, reasonably well at the Oscars, certainly in terms of nominations. So I think that's a gateway. People will say, I like this, I love this. You know, in reading the book, it may actually, I mean, my daughter was surprised yesterday to discover that the source of The Wizard of Oz was the L. Frank Baum book from, 1920, I think. So, you know, she thought the film had come first. So she might now think, oh, I wouldn't mind reading that. So, you know, there are all sorts of lateral ways. And we're only having that conversation because it is today World Book Day.
Yeah, and I think it's the excitement around reading as well, because of the sort of gimmick of World Book Day and characters and all the stories that we love to share. Because I think that's a real sort of, if we just go back to being human, I think that's just a big part of our species, is that we love telling stories to each other and sharing on. And we've been asking people to share with us their World Book Day pictures today. We've got two that we can share. I don't know if have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, right. Let's show it now. We have, and you've got to guess who it is and who they're dressed up as. They're all KMTV. We've got two to show you. They're KMTV ties.
Well, that looks like, is that Winnie the Pooh?
Close. No, it's a tiger.
Okay.
And he's eating his dinner. This is the tiger who came to tea.
Oh, the tiger came to dinner?
The tiger who came to tea. And this is me.
Is that you?
This is me, probably around the 2009, 2010 mark, maybe. I don't know how old I was, but I was eating my tea.
Oh, I see, that wasn't this morning at 5:30.
No, that wasn't this morning.
I said he looks no different.
Yeah. And there was another one as well to share. This, who do you think this is?
Is that
presenting lineup?
Is that Kristen or Abby?
It is Abby.
It's Abby.
It's Abby.
Yeah.
On the left, on the right, just as the Mr. Men is her brother. Who's she dressed up as?
One of them. Oh.
So Dr. Seuss.
Oh, Dr. Seuss. Okay, with the very long title.
Cat in the Hat.
Cat in the Hat. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's dressed up as things.
Because I saw the Mr. Man, you see. See, Roger Hogg. That's my generation.
It threw me. It threw me as well.
No, but it is a lot of fun, isn't it? World Book Day. So yeah, we're asking people to send in your pictures, your World Book Day pictures this morning, and we'll share them as the programme goes on before we wrap up at 9 o'clock. Before you go, and we do want to chat a little bit about the Oscars, because we've been teasing it for so many weeks. So we've got to look back on it. Mikey Madison, obviously taking Best Actress. Surprised?
No, I'm not. Well, I'm not surprised, but I did think that Demi Moore would win in that category because she'd won the Screen Actors Guild a few days before. I did stay up. I watched half the ceremony because it started at 12. It used to be like 2 o'clock in the morning, and all the films that were up for Best Picture were winning 1 or 2 each. And I thought, okay, it could go anyway. Went to bed, woke up in the morning, and saw that it wasn't quite a clean sweep, but Honora won 5, and I saw Honora at the one of the Curzons in Canterbury on Monday night, and I noticed that whereas when I booked a few days earlier, only about 6 people had booked to see it. it, it was almost sold out. So it goes to show that a film winning an Oscar, certainly Best Picture, will translate into sales.
And lots of key moments from the nights, this being one of them, where the Los Angeles Fire Brigade came on to the stage. Obviously, they played a huge part in those wildfires that took over Hollywood, actually delayed the Oscar nominations, and it kind of shone a bit of, it was a bit of a shadow over the awards, but it just shows the community.
It does, and it also shows up, because we even had that conversation on Kent tonight, will the Oscars even go ahead? Because it seemed almost inappropriate back in January to be thinking about an award when everybody's coming together and celebrating and having a bit of fun when people were losing their homes. So it was a very key moment. I mean, some interesting things in the ceremony. I thought some of it went well, some of it not so well, but the awards certainly threw a few surprises into the mix.
Yeah.
And very quickly, I don't think we have long left till we go to break. This week, if you've got a free couple of hours going to the cinema, what movie should Bartholomew and I be watching?
Well, do you know what I'm going to watch tonight? Because it's, as well as World Book Day, it's like a World or International Dude Day. It's The Big Lebowski, which is showing in some of the Cineworld cinemas. So I'm off to watch that tonight, which I actually missed at the cinema first time around because the print wasn't ready. Talk about an analogue world. They hadn't brought it to the cinema. So I'll be watching that tonight, but some really good new movies as well out over the course of the coming weeks.
All right, Chris DC, presenter of the Kent Film Club, available to watch back on demand over at kmtv.co.uk, or new episodes every other Thursday. Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you both.
Well, let's take a very quick break. We'll be back in a few minutes' time with more news made just for Kent. See you soon.